Look at this photograph. A young man, uniform pressed, rifle in hand.
The photograph my mother kept of me slab. I do not recognize that boy anymore.
Eyes staring directly into the camera with an expression that is difficult to name. Not quite fear.
The man next to me was from a small town in Yorkshire. I never learned his name.
Not quite pride. Something in between. Something that only a person standing on the edge of something terrible can carry in their face.
Some nights, the silence was worse than the guns.
This photograph was taken between 1861 and 1865.
I was a baker before the war. Funny the things you remember in the dark.
During the bloodiest conflict in American history, a war that would kill more Americans than World War I and World War II combined.
I wrote my name on a piece of paper and put it in my boot, just in case.
A war fought not on foreign soil, but the
mud was so deep it swallowed men whole. We never spoke of it back home.
But here, on American land, between American men.
They told us it was an honor. Standing in that trench, I was not so sure.
Before the Civil War, ordinary people almost never had their photograph taken. It was expensive, it was rare.
I have not slept without dreaming of my family since the day I came home.
It was something only the wealthy could afford. Most working men went their entire lives without ever seeing their own face captured in an image.
We marched into France believing it would be over by Christmas. It was not.
But the war changed that. Photographers like Matthew Brady set up studios near training camps and battlefields across the country.
I was 19 years old when they handed me a rifle and called me a soldier.
And for the first time in history, ordinary soldiers, farm boys, factory workers, immigrants, teenagers.
My mother cried the morning I left. I told her not to worry. I was wrong.
Could sit for a portrait before marching off to fight. Many of them had never been photographed before.
With this saber and rifle, I stand ready to defend the Union. We will secure victory.
Many of them would never be photographed again. They came in their new uniforms. They held their rifles. They tried to look brave.
We sang songs in the trench at night. It helped. Mostly.
And the cameras of the era required several seconds of complete stillness to capture a clear image.
When the gas came, you had seconds. Only seconds.
In that stillness, something extraordinary happened. The camera caught them exactly as they were, not polished, not heroic, human.
The rats knew before we did when a bombardment was coming.
Some were as young as 15. Some had left behind wives and children and farms and businesses.
I have seen things that no man should ever have to see.
Some had volunteered with excitement, believing the war would be over quickly.
The first time I heard artillery, I thought the world was ending. It nearly was.
And that they would return home as heroes. None of them knew what was coming. Not the mud.
We were not heroes. We were frightened boys, doing what we were told.
Not the disease, not the cannon fire, not the sight of men they had eaten breakfast with lying dead in a field by afternoon.
The first time I heard artillery, I thought the world was ending. It nearly was.
These portraits were taken in a moment of innocence, a moment just before everything changed.
When the whistle blew, you did not think. You simply climbed and ran.
What you are about to see are those faces, colorized, restored, and brought back to life.
We called it no man's land. No man should have ever gone there.
The same faces that looked into those cameras 160 years ago are now looking directly at you.
I still wake up at 3 in the morning, listening for sounds that are no longer there.
Some of these men survived, many did not. But in this photograph, none of that has happened yet.
We were told the war would make us men. It made us old.
They are simply young men, thinking about home. Listen to what they have to say.
The worst sound in the world is silence after a bombardment, because then the screaming starts.
Over 620,000 men died in the American Civil War. That number is almost impossible to hold in your mind.
The hardest letter I ever wrote was to a mother whose son died beside me.
620,000. More Americans than died in World War I and World War II and the Vietnam War combined.
We were ordinary men. The war made us into something I still cannot name.
And yet, when you say it out loud, nowhere it still does not feel real. It is too large.
The generals were not there. They were never there.
Too abstract, too far away. But these photographs make it real, because behind every one of those numbers, there was a face.
I do not blame the young men who ran. I understand them completely.
Behind every statistic, there was a name, a hometown.
We shook hands with a German soldier on Christmas Day, 1914. We shared a cigarette.
A family sitting around a table with an empty chair that never got filled again. A mother who kept her son's portrait on the wall for the rest of her life.
My uniform was clean the day this photograph was taken. It never was again.
And never once stopped looking at it. These portraits survived when the men in them did not.
They gave me a medal. I put it in a drawer and never took it out again.
They were kept in small wooden cases lined with velvet, tucked into coat pockets and carried into battle.
We were the generation the war ate.
And the world moved on without us.
Placed on mantelpieces in quiet parlors, passed down through families who grew until nobody was left who remembered the man in the photograph.
We did not talk about fear, but every man in that trench was terrified.
Until eventually they ended up in archives and attics and auction houses, waiting.
If I could say one thing to the boys who came after us, Cadamus, I would say, find another way.
And now they are here, colorized, animated, alive again